Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Yes Users podcast. Today we have a guest who is truly a force in the world of sales and SaaS. Someone who is passionate about education as he is about empowering sales team. Please join me in welcoming Prakashraj S, who is currently working as Sales Development Manager at Almabase. So, Prakash, thanks a lot for joining us on Yes Users podcast.
Yeah, welcome, Aviansh. Thanks for having me over here as well.
Yeah, you're a top sales guy. You're welcoming me in my own pod. Very good. Yeah, Prakash Raj. Should I call you Prakash Raj or Prakash?
You can go with Prakash.
Prakash. Okay, sure. So let's dive right in. Right, you are a sales manager at Almabase, but you are also a fitness enthusiast, right?
Right.
How do you balance the art of closing deals with lifting those heavy weights at the gym?
That's great. That's actually a good question to start with. Exactly. Right. So, yeah, like I started my fitness journey. It's been almost 10 years I'm in this fitness journey, and I try to make sure that I'm being consistent in going to gym. So this is one of the qualities which is helping me to be good at sales. Right. So one is the consistency, and about the discipline, and about the time management. So that is like if you are actually interested in certain things to do in your life, of course you will be in a position a lot certain time for it, right? So which one part is the gym, which is my passion, which I'm allotting time. Similarly under sales, like there's also in terms of like how you are managing the process of sales and how you're actually handling it. So for taking to the closure, there are a lot of process and there are a lot of methods we need to make sure that the deal is getting closed. It comes from prospecting. That is also come from discipline, being consistent, and from reaching out to the people by cold calling them and emailing them. I'm just giving some methodologies of example, right? Because like during the gym lifting, there are certain places where we generally fail to lift certain weights because we are in a position to reach that particular limit. To increase the limit, that comes from practicing and being consistent, right? So similarly, in terms of sales, of course, it's also in bit like you need to learn, you need to practice on a day-to-day basis, and then only you can able to take any kind of deal to the closure or to the next step.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I wanted to ask that, and like you appear like a very confident person, right? So when you are going for sales, right, having a well-toned body, does having that body helps you in sales process?
Exactly. So this is the kind of a conversation starter like a lot of prospects actually does. Like whenever they see me like, hey, oh yeah, you generally go to gym. Like that is a kind of a positive sign which I would say. Even generally, if you look at some people and if they go to gym or if they are a sports person, you can able to see like, oh, this person actually does this particular stuff without even asking that particular person verbally. So this is a kind of a conversation starter, and this is also kind of like what we call also breaking the ice. So like that's a kind of a like they have a content to ask you, and which is gonna break your ice, and you can able to start up the conversation from there as well, right? And of course, this is also making me look confident. Then I can able to wear a suit. I can able to tuck in my shirt without my bellies coming out, and yeah, and of course that's bringing the confidence, and that is gonna make sure that like, you are delivering a good presentation or a good sales pitch. Yeah.
Absolutely. So essentially, according to you, all salespeople should be regularly going to gyms. If they're not doing that, they are not doing justice to their job.
Not exactly. So like that's what it need not to be like. See, my passion is gonna be gym. Like probably your passion or a lot of people passion might be into swimming, into running, or into like probably table tennis or like carom or chess, whatever it is. Right? So what I generally believe is that everyone should have some sort of hobby to work on it, and they should be working on it consistently, and they should be in a position to be disciplined on that particular hobby that they're actually currently pursuing. So that's what the ultimate goal is going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is have something interesting as a sales guy. You can't lead a boring life. Am I correct?
Exactly. So like sales never is going to be a boring life because on a day-to-day basis, you are going to encounter new kind of challenges on a day-to-day basis because sales is going to be like you're talking with another human. Every human in the entire world is completely very different. So every day you talk with a new person, you're going to handle with a lot of objections, a lot of different kind of conversation that is going to lead you to like some kind of weird conversation as well and very great conversation as well. So this is actually kind of a very interesting and adventurous life, which I would definitely say. Yeah.
Very interesting. And see, a lot of listeners of our podcast are tech entrepreneurs, right? Guys who are doing coding, and they have started their venture. Now, in the initial days, it is expected that the founders themselves would be doing the sales process, and they absolutely hate it. That they say to me that, Avinash, we just don't have the personality for it. So, like, is there any quick fix? I won't say quick fix. Like, is there something, some kind of a hack that they can do, which can, in 3-4 months at least, start delivering positive benefits to them?
Exactly. So like I completely agree with your point. Like even in the last couple of years, I've been talk with like couple of tech entrepreneurs, like who their background is completely from the technical side of point, and they are like pretty much like having hiccups in the business side of part, right? So they have the skill set of, they know what is their product or what is they are currently doing, right? So and first, of course, it's gonna be like the communication. It's about like how they are like they're just going out and talking with people. Initially, that's what I generally do. So that is like, hey, just go to networking event or like connect with the same industry experts and discuss, talk with them and understand like what is the current problem statement and start networking. Like try to connect with lot of people until you come to a point that like, hey, I can right now I came to a point where I can go and talk with anyone in the entire world. Once you're able to have that particular confidence, then you can able to have a confidence of reaching out to any kind of prospects or any kind of people across the field. So that's what I generally do. So like, I may be wrong, but what I have seen a lot of people from the tech side, that they're pretty introverted people. Like I'm not sure that's it's a kind of a nature they work, but still I feel the same. So first you need to move from introverted person to an extroverted person, right? And then they can able to go ahead and discuss about sales or discuss about business. And yeah, that's how it should be starting. And like sales is actually, it's a kind of a learnable skill. I'm not a born salesperson. I've actually learned that particular skill in terms of like probably calling or in terms of talking with people. That's a learnable skill which anyone in the entire globe can able to learn from anyone, right? Yeah.
So, Prakash, well said, right? And, I'll share something I have never shared on a public forum before. So when I graduated from law school, some like 10, 11, 10, 11 years back, I couldn't even speak a single line in English. And it was really hard for me. And I was an introverted person myself. So I understand where these founders are coming from. And I've been in that place. What I did and really worked for me was Robin Sharma's line that run towards your fear. So whatever fears you, just keep, the moment you see something, don't even think for a second, just start running towards it. Otherwise, your mind will come up with some or the other excuse to, to let you not do that, right? So one thing which I did, which really worked for me, is that I made a commitment to myself that I will speak to one stranger every day, no matter what. No matter what, if I'm not speaking to one stranger, I'm not going home, right? That's the level of commitment. And it really helped me, right? It really helped me, especially in the conferences, right? If you go to networking events or conferences where, approaching a person you don't know, it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. But now it's not the case with me. So that's what I'll advise. But, thanks for sharing your insights. Moving on, you spoke about Wilson's Law, which sounds very intriguing. Could you share with our listeners what it means and how it influences your sales approach?
Right. So I'll give a background upon Wilson's law. So, like, of course, this actually what happened was like on one occasion I was just scrolling Instagram. I was just watching some couple of reels and I found out about this concept known as Wilson's law. So it was discovered by the guy known as Robert Wilson. So what exactly does it mean is that like any kind of power or wealth creation is actually happen by generating knowledge over the course of time. Okay, that is example. So if you start learning on a day-to-day basis, in anything, it may be about your hobby, or it may be about your profession, or it may be about any different stuff on a day-to-day basis. So at certain point of time, that is gonna create wealth or poverty. So that is what exactly it means. I'm not sure why I'm being like this, but from my childhood itself, I've never actually been very fond of money or actually power. I want to do something new on a day-to-day basis. That is like in terms of learning, in terms of doing stuff that actually makes me motivated and makes me interested to move to the next day of the life, right? So then only I could able to relate. Okay, so like my characteristics actually falls under this particular bracket of Wilson's. Then actually I use this quote in my LinkedIn bio as well. And yeah, here we are discussing about
Yeah.
it.
No, to a limited extent, I could relate to it, and that's why I wanted to do this question.
Right.
And it sounds pretty intriguing, and I wanted listeners to hear from.
Correct. So like here, we can see a lot of contradictory as well. Like of course, like even I had a lot of couple of healthy argument with like my colleagues and my friends, like even my parents regarding this as well. Then and then, right? But I'm a firm believer of this particular concept. So of course it differs from every person to person and their lifestyle as well. But of course, like in terms of knowledge, like one thing which learned over the course of my like around for me like around 3-4 years of my career is that like anyone can able to take away your power or anyone can able to take away your money, but no one can able to take away your knowledge. Right?
Absolutely.
Like
So,
that one point actually hit my mind, and I'm just following that particular path.
absolutely. Very well said. We have heard about your impressive deadlifts and squats, but what's the heaviest deal you have ever closed? And how did you celebrate that victory around the office?
So actually, this is a kind of interesting stuff. So like this actually like one of my biggest deal that I've closed till now is like during my first job when I was working in a company on Dash Technologies. So the deal value was around $30,000 to $35,000. To be more precise, $32,300. Yeah, exactly. So that is the size of the deal. So I actually like to be honest, I was sleeping.
Okay.
And, I was working in a night shift, right? So I'm not sure like what happened the day before. So I was sleeping and I woke up and I suddenly opened my laptop and there was a pop up in the internal channel. Then like everyone started congratulating me like, hey, this is one of the biggest deals that you closed till now in the entire company and was among everyone, right? I was surprised, like, what the hell exactly happened? Like, what did I even do? Then I just went up. Then I remember, oh, okay, this was like the conversation which I had was like around it was a couple of weeks back. Like, I had a word with the prospect, and the prospect was actually kind of delaying, and it was a back and forth conversation. And I kept it to the pause. Like, okay, let him just give him some space. Let him just think over it and come back to us. Then actually, in the meantime, like he actually he signed the contract and he made a deal with us. And after that, I went to the office and everyone actually started celebrating. We did some big cake cuttings and yeah. And then what exactly, like at that moment, I was a team leader over there. So so what I did was like, to be honest, I said like, hey, okay, let's have this as a celebration, but I want to make sure that this is being a motivation for you people to overachieve this particular ACV or the deal size. That was my kind of advice given to all the reportees. Yeah.
Very interesting. And B2B sales is really complex and hard, right? So one of the questions I get asked a lot is that, you have an initial customer profile in your mind, which is usually referred as ICP. How do you get that first meeting, right? Because a lot of times that's like the hardest part. So what would be your advice to fellow entrepreneurs?
Right. So this question is actually pretty subjective. So the primarily, of course, you are defined as an ICP. Like once we figure out like who is our ICP, and we need to figure out like where the ICPs are actually pretty active. Like whether are they active in LinkedIn, are they active over any kind of communities, or are they active around conferences? So this actually comes with a lot of A/B testing. That is in terms of trial and error methodology, right? So generally, once we figure out like ICPs, so what I generally do is that, and what I suggest people to do is that you take some set of leads, you do some cold reach out through calls, and some other set of leads do cold emails, and other set of leads through cold like LinkedIn reach out. So majority of things actually falls under this particular 3 bucket, right? So, and other like probably can just do it for a month or two, depends upon your size of the deal and depends upon the people whom you are actually reaching out, right? Once we are able to get the data, then accordingly, like, and you will get a data point in such a way that like, which is really actually working. What is the response? So instead of we directly focusing on, hey, how much meeting I'm actually booking, or for initially you need to discuss about what is the response rate you are getting from each of the channel. Once you are able to figure out the response rate, then you can think about which channel is actually currently working and what are and who are the people I have actually reached on the particular channel and how I need to position my other set of leads to the particular channel. Right. And once you are able to figure that out, then you have a solid set of practice or a kind of a playbook and how to reach out people. And that is going to result you in terms of booking meetings or taking them to the demos.
Very impressive. I completely concur with your insights there. So, you spoke about Wilson's Law, and, I think non-fiction books are like kind of a mental gym, right?
Yeah.
So, which book has so far in your life the most significant impact on your sales strategy or mindset?
Right. So talking about sales, like I would say, like I would rather not go with a specific book. I'll go with the LinkedIn. So like for me, I learned sales everything through LinkedIn, and I everything through influencers and about their playbook. And I listen to a lot of podcasts in terms of to learn about sales. Right. But to learn about business, how the business model actually exactly works, because see right now, like as a salesperson, I am the frontline soldier. So over there, like, what is my, like, it's not about like me doing around 100 calls a day or sending out emails. It's about like me, how I'm prospecting the particular ICPs and how the business actually works for them and what are the potential pain points they are actually currently facing and what they'll be facing in the future. So this is a kind of a overview which I need to gather those information. That is gonna result a meeting or or outcome for the company. Right? So for this, I generally do a lot of research about how the business exactly works. It may be like take an example how the e-commerce side exactly works and how Google is actually making a lot of. So these are the kind of books I generally like. Like I'll start with a book known the hard thing about the hard things. So like he's actually the guy in his name is Ben Howsett. He is actually the founder of Netscape. Like a lot of people actually never know what is meant by Netscape, but he gave one detailed understand. He did detailed brief about how he started the company and how did he end up the company and what he's currently doing and why he became that particular part. So this trajectory is going to give me an idea about like how exactly the entire business model is actually working, right? And beyond that, like I was actually discussing about discipline and habits, right? So like of course I want to include one book known as like Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. So like he discussed about how a habit is getting formed and how to be sustainable with that particular habit. And it's not like it need not to be like hey, like today I'm waking up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow I'm gonna wake up in the 5. That's not gonna happen. So how to make that 10 to 5 in that particular book he would have described it in a better way and in a very, very simpler term. Even I think even a 5th grade kid can able to understand that.
Well said. Those two books are really amazing. And, one of the things about Netscape people don't know, Mozilla and Firefox, right? Everybody knows about Firefox. Firefox wouldn't have existed if it wasn't because of Netscape. And when they were like, they made a open source department, and that's what the origin story of Firefox is.
Right, exactly.
And one thing about that book, The Hard Things About Hard Things, is that he shares a story when he was doing a road show for his IPO.
Yeah.
Had a heart attack, and understand how supportive your parents or people around you to be, that they didn't share this information with that person because they thought like it may be a distraction or something, right? So in a way, that level of commitment you are willing to put in, and understand like a lot of people would say Netscape was a failure, and when you look at the hard work that guy has put in, right, that guy has put in, and so it kind of makes you realize, it kind of makes you rethink whether success is what everybody is defining it to be, right? So So that's what I'll say. Like, do your best, but there's a very good chance that you might not succeed. But try to figure out happiness in that as well.
Right. So that's what I generate. Like whenever I speak with like people and my friends, like if they ask me for book recommendation, I would directly any kind of non-fiction I book recommendation. I would just generally say like, hey, like if you're interested in business, if you want to learn how a company or how an organization actually works, try to read a company's history, not a kind of any motives or gurus or like any management gurus. Rather than that, just try to read this. You will get to know like what exactly went well and what exactly didn't go well, and how did they exactly overcome from that particular set of challenges they faced in every set of every stages of the company. Yeah.
My next question is, as a mentor, you guide sales professionals and software entrepreneurs. What's the one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting out?
So I'll go with like one thing is like patience. Like one thing is patience and persistence. So like to give a backstory about it. So like when I was during my college days and other stuff, like during the early stage of my life, like I wasn't pretty much active on LinkedIn or not pretty much active on and I didn't able to figure out like what is suiting me or like what is in it for me, like what I'll be doing in the upcoming my careers or in the future, right? So I couldn't able to figure that out, and so like of course that actually for me took time in terms of like it took me almost like it took me around 2020 when I realized that sales is actually my cup of interest in it. So like during my college time, I didn't have any single piece of thing for me to do. What like if someone asked me like what you're gonna do after 4 years, I didn't have any kind of access. And during that particular 4 years, I was completely stressed about like, hey, what I'm gonna do, like whether I want to stay like this or like what is gonna be happen, right? Then eventually, then I realized that okay, it's hey, like just take some time, take a step back, and eventually you will get to know what is in it for you and what you will really like it. And yeah, and that's how actually things actually turned. It was like I would say COVID was my turning point, because during that time actually I took some time for me and I learned. I read books, I talked with a lot of people. Then I found out okay, this is my interest area, and I think someone actually told me like, hey, just be patient, take a step back. You will reach the point where you want to be. I actually couldn't able to remember who was that exact who was that person. I think like yeah, I don't know, but still like I really want to thank that person, and that is actually took me over here and where I'm currently right now. Yeah.
Very well said. And one of the things that surprises me is that I speak to so many students who are preparing for competitive exams, software entrepreneurs, people from legal background, right? So all of these things have their own challenges, right? Um, but one thing really surprises me is that if I speak to these people as to what is like that main thing, what is the purpose of your life, right? A lot of people don't have answer to that. So they kind of expect that answer to come immediately. I don't know how, right? They expect that, one fine day, the God will come in their mind and say, "Took, this is the purpose of your life, bacha, now go and live a happy life," right? That's never happened. That only happens in movies, right? So why do you expect, like, and somehow you don't have that answer yet. Somehow they feel it's their fault. Right? They have done something wrong or they haven't done something. It's just that, you don't know when that moment will hit, right? And so that's part one. The second part, I'll say that, spend time with yourself, right? The surprising thing I notice is that almost everyone I know haven't even spent a week or a whole week dedicated to figuring out what is the purpose of their life. They were like, "Are stupid, right? How will I stop everything and just like think on the fact that what I'm going to do on my life?" I was just like, understand how many years are you going to live, and I'm just talking about a week, right? Just think and just try to figure out what is the purpose of your life. Most of the people I know haven't done that, right? And it's surprising to me, like that a week in front of your life is almost nothing, but people don't do that, and it's okay, right? So the answer, the insight that you shared is really absolutely
I completely agree with your second point actually, Inash, because like I've seen a lot of people like they've been running like towards a direction which they don't even know what is gonna be the like like that like it need not be a goal, right? It should be like, hey, if I'm actually running into the particular part, like how am I liking that part? Or is this particular path is suitable for me or not, right? So that's why I mean like I like for a second one I have in my life like I took a time during the COVID lockdown time, and I figured out like what is in it for me and what I need to do for the future and other stuff, right? So this is why general and I'm also a strong believer like, hey, like for at least on a day, spend at least 15 to 30 minutes of your time doing what you really like. It may be in terms of reading a book, or it maybe listen to your songs which you love, or watching a movie or watching a series, right? It may not be like kind of a only career oriented part. It should be like spend at least 15 to 30 minutes. That is going to result you a lot in the upcoming future, because you will be happy that you will be satisfied. Hey, like, hey, I did something on this particular day which I really liked. That satisfaction is going to make you motivated to think a lot and push yourself to the next level. And for your first point, right, in terms of what is it like the that it's more of peer pressure. Like you tell me what is your purpose of life, or you tell me what you're going to do after finishing the 12th grade or 10th grade. That starts from the generations, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, like eventually that should be changing. That's what I firmly believe, and should give some people space to think about it. And of course, we are also living in a very competitive world. That's what they say. But still, like as long as you have your knowledge, as long as you educate yourself, nothing's competitive.
Yeah. Nobody's forcing anyone to run in the rat race, right?
Right.
Competitive world, no doubt, but nobody's forcing you to participate in competition, right?
Exactly.
And I'm absolutely not preaching that, you should not work hard. I absolutely do, because you want to do it, not because somebody else is pressuring you to that, or you are under the peer pressure of doing it. Anyway, enough gyan. People will say, yaar, ye kya hai? Ye log baba bani hai. Now, let's do rapid fire round. The first question is morning coffee or evening tea?
Morning coffee.
Yeah. Second question, favorite sales tool?
Salesforce.
Salesforce. Okay, good one. One word to describe your negotiation style?
Listen and think of win-win situation.
Very good. Right. Best LinkedIn tip for building connections?
And not personalized connection, and engage them in comments, like their post. Yeah, so these are the and start giving content to the LinkedIn community. Create a content. Just have a goal and say, hey, like these are the content which I'm gonna deliver to the LinkedIn community, and that is gonna attract the people which I want to build up a community.
Great advice there. Next question. There are so many historical figures like, Gandhi ji and, Thomas Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
Who are not in the profession of sales, right? But because of their personality, if given the job of sales, they would have aced it.
I would say Subhash Chandra Bose.
Yeah, good idea. My controversial take on this question is Hitler. that however shitty that was, I don't agree. That person, what he did was definitely boring, right? But that guy knew how to sell stuff.
Right, exactly. That's the power of the dictatorship, right? Like,
right.
You know how to talk, you know how to deliver the stuff. Of course, you're in India, right? You were having the Mahatma Gandhi ji, that one group, and another group with Subhash Chandra Bose. But still, like Subhash Chandra Bose, he tried to make sure that he sold himself to attract a lot of people. Yeah, which I really like.
तुम मुझे खून दो मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा, right? If you think about it, that guy is essentially motivating people for the right reason to die. Imagine this, like the worst thing that you can ask a person to do is to sacrifice his or her life, but he pitched it in a way that it seemed worthwhile, right? I would have done it for him, right? So great choice.
Yeah.
And I'm happy a lot of people did, so that we are now living in freedom. We are indebted to them. And now we are running out of time. So I'll just ask last question for you. You are passionate about evaluating products for the minimum viable product stage, right? Please, for our people, give a little bit of context of what MVP are, right, and how they are implemented in startups. Also, lastly, my follow-up question is: can you also share a memorable MVP moment where a product surprised you with its potential?
Right. Right. Got it. I'll just give a background about like MVP and how this exactly stuff work. Right. So let's take example like anyone actually who's trying to build up a product. So they want to build up a product to the limit where it reaches the MVP. That is minimum viable product. That is, if a product is actually reaching a market, it should be utilized by at least a couple of people. At least I'm just giving 1 or 2 people. It should be utilized, and that particular product should solve at least 1 or 2 problem of a customer or a company. So this is what a minimal viable product. So like if in any product you take in the entire globe, entire world, so they start with the MVP, that is a minimum viable product. Then once slowly it scales up to the bigger range of product, and it goes out to the market and get it sold by various methodology. What I did is that there are actually a lot of entrepreneurs who is actually trying to build up product related to sales. And so what then generally they do is that they interact with the people who will be in a position to use their particular product. Let's take example, I'm building a sales related product, and I should be in a position to know who are my ICPs and who will be the person to use my product. And I reach out to the person and I get their opinion about, hey, this is a product which I'm trying to build. Like, you can just give me some insights about how I can be able to do it better, or what are the current problem you are currently facing, and let me try to fix using my product. So this is my this is kind of quick framework, right? And similarly, and some people actually give trial version as well. Hey, this is a very minimal viable product which I built. We just use the product for a month or two and give us a feedback if something is breaking, or if you need any kind of feature enhancement, or if you need any kind of improvements, you let me know. We will build it and we will try to sell it in the. So this is the idea, right? So my talking about my experience was there was one of the product known as KALE. So the founder actually reached out to me when I was working on Razorpay, because the reason it was a very great reach out, and the reason why they reached out to me was the product was planned to be sold only to the enterprise companies, and that's the reason they were looking out for some person and in a bigger organization. And they found me somehow, and they reached out to me, and they gave me the product for a month or two for the trial basis. It was try to use the product and let me know what is the feedback, and if something is breaking or if some kind of bug is happening, get back to me. We will try to figure it out. So this is a kind of a concept. So this product really actually worked, and I think around 6-7 months back, they raised a funding as well for the particular product. Yeah.
Right. So you were really surprised with the potential. How was your experience when you used the product for the first time?
So initially, what I thought was the product was actually pretty good. So what they were to give a description about the product. So they let's take example, you are I'm sending you you are the prospect, I am the salesperson, I'm sending an email. So and of course you're not being an enterprise oriented product. You are not the decision maker. There will be around 10-15 people across the company who will be in a position to being a decision maker, right? And you will forward that particular doc or forward the particular email or the content to a lot of people. And what is the insight that I'm missing is that I'm not sure how much time the email has been. Of course, we can able to get the number of email open, but I'm not sure in that particular document what are the segments you or the decision maker is actually looking after. I won't be having the insight. So what they have actually built, how they have built the products, that's a kind of a sandbox, that's a kind of a dashboard. So where you just share that particular access to all your prospect, and whenever they log into the particular dashboard, you can get to know where they are actually visiting and what are the documents they're actually downloading, and who are the stakeholders being over here. Are they from marketing? Are they from sales team? Are they from customer success team? So once you have this particular data, then you can able to go about how I can able to sell my product to the particular organization. So this will be more of a consultative selling. That is in terms of like strategic way of selling. So this product will be completely it's completely pure and pure for a enterprise company. Yeah.
Wow, well said. So, I know I said that this will be the last question. I have a curiosity. You never thought about doing your own startup?
No, like and like I'm more of like I never actually thought about that. I'm actually more of a investor style. Like I love investing. And
Kaisa, yeah, you work. I don't work. I need relax time. I need. Yeah.
not like that, like probably like so what I generally love to do is like be a part of a early stage company and grow along with the company. That is what I generally do. And yeah, that's my like initially I was having the thought like, okay, like I'll just open a startup company and things can actually go. But I feel like no, like that's not my style. I'll just I'll be joining as a founding member of any of the company, or like probably in latest is not currently, not for the next 10-15 years. Once I have the confidence that I can able to take any kind of risk in my entire life, then at that moment I can able to go there, join a startup company.
Well said. No, I completely understand, right? When I looked at your profile, when we were like shortlisting the people, like I looked at your profile and saw the post you have made. I said to one of my colleagues that he seems like the one of the most smartest salespeople I have met, and I've seen on LinkedIn. And I'm sure after speaking to you with it for an hour, I'm sure my initial assessment was right. So
Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you so much for the compliment. Actually,
So, Prakash, thanks a lot for joining us on the Yes Users podcast and sharing your stories, insight. I hope our users enjoy this podcast as much as I did while recording it.
yeah. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity, Avinas. And all the questions you asked, like really actually took me back around 10 years back and rethink about all the memories which I had, and I'm glad that actually I've shared you a lot of stuff. And of course, I believe that information will be useful for your audience as well.
I can really believe that as well. So, thanks for sharing your side of the story.
Same.
Thank you, our listeners, for joining us in this episode of Yes Users podcast. Don't forget to follow us for more inspiring stories and expert insights. Lastly, if you want to connect with Mr. Prakashraj, you can find him on LinkedIn. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and striving for excellence. This is your host, Aviansh Tripathi, signing off.